Hi, welcome to Photoshop for Online Dating, Episode 2. Today we have my friend Tubby Ted here, and since this photo was taken, he has stopped smoking, he started doing P90X, he lost 15 pounds, and he got rid of the frosted tips on his faux hawk because he realized it made him look like more of a douchebag than he really is. So he asked me to fix up this photo for him, so I have two photos open. I have one on the left and one on the right. The one on the left is the one we'll work on, and the one on the right will be the after. I also have some licorice here open in another tab, and we'll deal with that later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started, and I'm going to work from the top to the bottom. So I'm going to start off with the frosty tips here. So we need to get rid of these frosty tips for our pal Ted. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make a new layer. So down here in the right hand corner, we're going to click the new layer button, and it's going to make a new layer over our background, which is the left hand side of the image here. And what we're going to do is we're going to press I on the keyboard, and that'll give us the eyedropper tool. And if not, we'll just choose it in the toolbar here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in, and we're going to take a sample of his hair color, and we're going to use that to cover or color in the frosty tips. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our new layer in the layers panel, and we're going to select the layer mode darken. We're also going to set the opacity on that layer to around 50%. We may or may not have to change that later depending on how it looks. So we're going to grab the brush, so we can hit B to grab the brush, or we can choose the brush from the toolbar. Now we're going to want to make our brush a nice size so that we can fill in his hair nice and quickly, and we're not dicking around too much. So we're just going to quickly go over all his frosted tips here. And we're just going to kind of give him a new, well, not a new hairdo, but a new hair color. Because frosted tips went out in the 90s or early 2000s. Can't believe anybody still does it. So we're just going to quickly cover his frosted tips. I'm just going to kind of do it roughly. You should probably, if you're doing your own picture, maybe do a better job or take a little more time. I'm going to adjust my brush size and bring it down, make it a little bit smaller so I can get the widow's peak or the tip of his faux hawk. And then once it's all colored in, covered up, whatever you want to call it, which will be done here shortly. So we pretty much got her done. It's filled in nicely. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the smudge tool in the toolbar here, and we're just going to kind of go around the edges and smudge them, kind of make it so doesn't have that sharp look on it. Looks like flowing hair. Just go around the edges of his faux hawk and make it look a little more natural. Just smudge this out a little bit. He has a little bit of a hue around his head from the frosted tips. So now, if you zoom out to the actual size of the picture here, his hair looks pretty good, so I think we'll continue on to the next part. Now, what we have here is some licorice. What we're going to do is we're going to grab the quick selection tool from the toolbar, and we're just going to kind of cover everything that isn't the last piece of licorice here. We're just going to have the marching ants wrapping around that last piece of licorice. Then what we're going to do is we're going to right click, and we're going to choose Select Inverse, and you'll notice that just the last piece of licorice is selected. We're going to right click again and choose Layer via Copy, which will make a copy of that piece of licorice. Then we can turn the background layer off, and we're left with just a piece of licorice. Now what I want to do here is, because we don't want a whole piece of licorice, I'm going to take the eraser tool. I'm going to make it a little bigger and a little harder. The hardness of your brush dictates the hardness of your edge. So I'm just going to cut this licorice piece off so it kind of looks like half a straight piece of licorice. Okay, that's good for now. So now what we want to do is choose the Move tool. We just want to click on our piece of licorice, hold it down, and drag it over the tab that belongs to the other images. And then we're just going to let go of the piece of licorice. So now we have our piece of licorice in this photo. What we're going to do now is we're going to hit Control T on the keyboard, which is to transform our piece of licorice. And we're just going to rotate it, and we're going to just bring it up. Oh, we're just going to bring it up to in front of his mouth here where his cigarette is, because he doesn't smoke anymore, so he doesn't want people thinking he's some kind of unhealthy guy who does things like smoking. So we're just going to set it over top of his cigarette here. And it looks like our piece of licorice is just a little bit too big. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab one of these corners here, and when you see these arrows, we're going to hold the Shift key to constrain the proportions so the licorice doesn't look any longer than it is wide. Still holds the same kind of size and shape. I'm thinking that looks pretty good right there, so we're just going to put that in place. We're going to choose the Move tool again, and we're going to apply our transformation. So now that our transformation is applied, it still kind of looks like it's thrown over top here, it's covering his fingers. So we're just going to quickly take the eraser tool. We're going to make it a little smaller. Yeah, 8 pixels should be good. And we're going to turn the hardness down to give it a kind of a soft edge and blend it in. So the first thing we'll do is kind of erase a little bit by the mouth, so it looks like some of it's in his mouth. Now, as you can see, there's fingers here, his thumb, so we'll just kind of do a little piece above his thumb, so it looks like the licorice is actually between his thumb and fingers. Just do a little bit there and a little bit on his other finger. There, now he's no longer smoking and he's eating a piece of licorice. The licorice is still kind of the wrong color. It looked like it was taken under some bright lights, and yeah, it's not going to do that way because it looks like it's just thrown in. So our licorice layer here is layer 2. So we'll turn layer 2 off and we'll turn it back on just to make sure we have the right layer. Then we're going to go to our layer adjustments. Then, once we have our layer adjustments, we're going to choose hue and saturation. And we're actually going to turn the lightness on the licorice down, make it look like it was the actual photo of the licorice was taken in the same place as this. So there we go. The licorice is a little bit darker, looks pretty good. Zoom out. I don't know about you, but it looks like a real piece of licorice to me. It looks like he's got real brown hair, real piece of licorice. Now all we have left to do is his belly. So like I said, Tubby Ted here lost 15 pounds doing P90X. So it's time to make him look that way to accurately reflect what he looks like in real life. So what we need to do is double click on the background layer because it's locked. When you see this little lock key in the corner, then you know the layer's locked. Double click it, up will pop this new layer. The name is layer 0. We could call it whatever we wanted. Just click OK. Now you'll notice that the layer is unlocked. Now we can apply filters to this layer. To make Ted thin, we're going to use the liquefy filter. So we're just going to click filter. We're going to choose liquefy. And up will pop a new window with the image of Ted in it. Now, the trick to liquefying stuff is start big and then go small. Make sure you do things gradually and evenly, or else it looks like you did a bad job. So the brush size is 181 pixels right now. I'm going to up the brush size to about, well, 226 should be good. And then I'm just going to push his belly. Oh, Control Z. I'm actually going to take the crosshairs or the X, and I'm just going to put it right up against the corner of his shirt, and then I'm going to push it in. And then I'm just going to move up and down. Up and down his shirt, you know, just kind of pushing it in, making sure that it gets pushed in evenly, so it doesn't look like it's edited anyway. I'm going to zoom in here so I can see more of what I'm doing as I'm taking away his belly. zoom in is Alt. You just hold Alt and use your scroll wheel on your mouse. Okay, that looks pretty good. He's pretty flat stomach now. So now he has this protruding pocket. And I think what we'll do is we'll make the brush size a little smaller, about 100, 130. That should be good. And we'll just push his pocket in a little bit because it looks abnormal. And then you'll notice that since I've pushed this stuff in, I kind of blurred this piece of grass all along the edge of him and along his pocket here. And it kind of looks like it was edited. But don't worry, that's our next step. Once we leave the liquify filter here, we will get to that. Okay, so looking pretty good. So I'm just gonna click OK and apply the liquefaction. And now that's applied, you see, just magically shrank. And it's like he lost 15 pounds on P90X. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. And you can see this grass here really doesn't look the same as in the other picture. It doesn't look like real grass. It looks all smudged and stuff. So we're going to do the same thing we did in the last video. And we're going to use the patch tool. Okay, we're going to select our patch tool. And then we're just going to draw little squares along his body where the grass is kind of messed up. Then we're just going to drag them out, drag our selection out, and it's just going to replace the grass with something that looks more real and unedited, not blurry. I'll do that 1 or 2 more times here, and we should be styling. Here. One more of these. And now had Ted been blurry, we'd have to do that to his body too, but seeing as he's not that blurry, we don't really have to do it. Okay, so now I'm looking at Ted here. He's got, still kind of has a bulge in his ass here, but that's okay. It doesn't make him look fat. It just makes him look like he's got a really big wallet. And chicks are totally into that, so we're just gonna leave it like that. But what we have here is his shirt drapes an awful lot and still kind of makes him look kind of big. And he kind of looks like he has a little bit of a titty there. So what we want to do is we want to use the dodge tool. We're going to take the dodge tool. I'm going to zoom in. And what the dodge tool does is it lightens dark spots. So we're just going to kind of go over, you know, where his shirt was folding under his titty, and we're just going to kind of brighten it up a touch. And as you'll see, the titty is pretty much gone. You know, you can't really tell it is titty. Maybe he's got muscle under there now. So we'll just do the last few creases in his shirt here, and brighten them up a bit. And I mean, I'm just going along clicking. You can brush this stuff on. I'm just trying to be careful. Get it all done in one shot. But yeah, when you do yours, you can be much more careful than me. And look at Ted. He looks healthy now. He doesn't look tubby at all. And he can now post his picture online, and he'll be getting tons of chicks. So, yeah, there's the before and after. Till next time, guys.